I am excited to introduce you to my friend, uh, Wendy Parr. So, Wendy and I go way back. I mean, we're talking, what, 15, 18 years, maybe? Way back.
Yeah.
I've known Wendy a very long time. And one thing that I can say for Wendy is, I mean, not only is she a fabulous voice coach, a great coach for artist development, which we'll talk about her program here coming up, but also just a great human being. And that's important. But when we talk about Wendy, the one thing that I always say is that Wendy is known, and I have experience firsthand. I know the artists that she's worked with of mine, that we've collaborated with, love the safe space and the environment that's provided because it allows people to be vulnerable in their development and being honest. And when we talk about music and artistry, that is one of the number one things that we have to correlate is being honest and authentic. And I mean, just look at her with that rad hat and scarf and glasses. Wendy, you like nail on the head. So,
I'm just living what I also help other people do, right? Like I understand certain things about my style now that I'm like, and I can name them, which makes it just so much easier for me to be like, oh, get dressed. I mean, I'm a hat person and I know exactly the kind of hat I like and I design them, but like I can give you my recipe. Like it's just me. I'm monochromatic with patterns. So it's a blue day and I'm wearing blues with different patterns. If it was hot, it's super hot out. If it was cold, I'd be wearing a blue jacket with another design on it. So it's like, oh, it's a color and it's patterns, textures. That's my formula. And it makes it easy for me because then I'm like, here you go again, colors, pattern, textures. I'm just like, oh, if I were to talk to a stylist, let me show you some visuals, but here's my formula for me. And stylist would be like, I got you, I get it, right? And they're gonna deliver something that I like. I know when I get dressed in the morning, it's not like, who am I? I'm like, I know my tastes, and being able to name them makes my life good because I'm just like, certain things come easier. And then I'm like, yep, I'm happy. I like the way I look and feel.
yep. And that I can say that you 100% embody that. So, well, let's dive into this and let's talk a little bit about artist development. So, a lot of times people really focus on voice technique and they get into this like pattern of what is voice technique. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole at this minute, but let's talk about artist development and why it's essential or like how it's important for singers to create that artistic style or artistic fingerprint. We talk about vocal
Yeah.
fingerprint. There's also part of that vocal fingerprint is the artistry and
Artistry, yeah.
yeah. So tell me about that.
So for me, so coming up as an artist, I went through all the things that artists still go through, which is being told to be something different, being told, we love your music, now change it, being told, and for various reasons, like, oh, well, we don't know how to market at that time a 15-year-old Caucasian girl singing R&B. So you should go more in this direction, or we just don't know what to do with you. So uh, you know, and artists just still go through all of that of being told, be something different, be something else. What are you? And as a person, like I actually think our job as a human is to evolve into our best self, like our truest, honest self, so that you live a life that you love. And your art is this deep expression of yourself, this your message, what you have to say. And as a vocal coach, it started with the voice. Like if we can open up your voice to be playing the way it's designed to be played, your personality and sound is going to come out.
Mhm.
The minute you're like squeezing for something, pushing for something, it'd be like me, suddenly having a different accent. You're like, what's going on? It's not you, right? So vocal limitations really cut off your true voice and true expression. So first we open it up vocally, and then just all the years of working with artists, I was finding that I was just seeing the artist struggle to fully blossom, struggle to be able to know themselves or even know that they had the power to make certain choices. And just very few artists, like such a tiny percentage, have a really strong sense of their own world and aesthetic. Like this is the world I'm creating and inviting my everyone into. One of the bands I work with, I was telling them about Compass and encouraging them to come take it. And he said, we're about to make our fourth record. And the things you're asking me about, we've never even thought about them. let alone discuss them. He's like, we just go in and make an album. We like just write songs. I bet everything would be better if we had this conversation with each other first and got clarity about like, who are we? What is it like? What message exactly? And what world? Like that's the thing I love about doing this with artists, is really helping them build a world that they are inviting people into, and that world becomes the sound and the message of the album, Folk Hero Funk, Straight Outta Compass from Mark Basie, um, Queen Herbie's Alchemist, straight out of Compass, and the tour that she's building right now. We were talking yesterday, and she was telling me about what they're creating for this tour and this experience they're going to give their fans. And I was like, straight out of Compass. She's like, everything we did in Compass is what we're now bringing to life and creating like an experience, right? Which also then becomes the social media and the video content and the merch and how the merch is designed or created or what the merch is. You know, your merch doesn't just have to be a t-shirt, right? There's other things that can be examples of your world. And Melanie Martinez, who makes perfume, if you're not on that level of manufacturing perfume, but Queen Herbie makes you know, oils and different things, you can make other things that are affordable to you that really connect you with your audience and the message you want to say. So for me, artist development is really helping the artist realize themselves, remember themselves, and then be able to concretely, with confidence and clarity, share that with the people that need to execute it. They have a team of people that have to execute their vision, be it the producer and the merch and the tour manager. So it's really about realizing yourself. You know, I'm not telling anyone who they are. I'm helping them see themselves. And we're uncovering what's been hidden, what you may have suppressed, what someone told you, oh, don't do that. But it's really like the weird, wonderful you. So how do we layer that into who you are and share that with the world? Because an artist being true to themselves is making art and everything that they love and feel good about.
I mean, right on that. I also think too, like when artists find out really who they are and that it's believable and it's unique, that's the type of fan base you're gonna um garner. You're gonna instead of
Yes.
it just being like random hodgepodge, kind of throwing out the net to see who comes in.
Yes.
The artist knows who they are and they have that message and it's very clear. You're going to attract the fan base essentially for life. And
Yeah, the super fan.
yeah,
Yeah.
that fan base is what's going to follow you throughout and help you build because like brings in like
Yep.
essentially, like you're going to
Yep.
start creating that instead of it just being a wide net casting out and hoping that you get something.
It's
And
the same thing with songwriting. To be universal, you have to be specific. You don't write a universal song, you write something super personal, and that's what people connect to. It goes bigger when it's the most personal it can be.
yeah,
And so that is exactly the same thing. When you really say, this is who I am and what I'm saying in the world and why I want to say it. And I love this. The people who go, oh my gosh, bacon in a chocolate bar, this is my favorite thing. I'm coming for what you're serving.
yeah.
And it does. Your core audience carries you until you get broader and bigger. No one starts big. They start with small. They start with a small audience and 50 people, and then you grow and grow and grow.
Absolutely. What do you feel are, so for someone who maybe doesn't even know where to start in artist development or how they get to it? And I know we'll talk about your program Compass later, but before they do Compass, if they literally have no idea on how to start this process, what are maybe 5 tangible tools that you could give them to do to start now to create that artistic identity?
Totally. First, I would say go look at your house and your closet and look around and just be like, okay, what do I see? Look for some patterns, look for some adjectives. Are all of your clothes comfy and cozy and like, oh, that's you? Like, oh, I'm so about comfort and cozy. Okay, so bring comfort and cozy into your sound, into your music video. Like, that's going to create some of the design of your video, right? Oh, I want to be on pillows and a bed, or I want it to look like I'm in puffy clouds. Actually, it would be really fun to do it. Are you really colorful and playful? Okay, go shoot a video in a get like a kiddie tub or the bathtub or a kiddie pool and fill it with like balls and then just sit in the balls that are colorful. literally that's you, right? You're like, I'm colorful, I'm playful, I'm like a toddler. Okay, so start creating all your content that has that flavor. It doesn't have to only be that flavor, because that's also important, that you like, you're layering yourself. Otherwise it gets um it's kind of like a bad villain in a movie. It's one dimensional, right? They're just, oh yeah, they're just the bad guy. But I don't believe it because it's just generic. But
Yes.
if the bad guy is also a vegan and loves animals, I'm like, oh wow, curious. I now have passion for this guy, and they're so interesting, right?
Villain, a vegan villain loves animals. Got it.
Right? Like
Yeah.
those layers make it so intriguing. So
Yeah.
your layers, if you're like, okay, I'm like, I like to dress like a toddler, but my lyrics are like deep and profound. Oh, curious, interesting. So where else does the deep and profound show up in the visual or in the, right? So you're mixing the layers of yourself. So to do that, literally go look around your closet, your house, your stuff. What do you love? How would you describe it? Put it in adjectives. Go ask 3 to 5 of your closest friends, like people who really know you and you trust and who would champion you, and be honest with you. Ask them to describe you for a dating profile
Hmm.
and see what people say, right? Like you just said, I create such a safe space for vulnerability. I've been told that a lot. Like you make me feel so calm, like the world's going to be okay. Meanwhile, like my duck feet under the water are going like this, right?
Yeah.
um, but so I've heard it enough times to know, oh, that is one of my qualities. So I don't shy away from it. I embrace it. I make sure that when I am creating a space or an activity, like, okay, how can this be um, inclusive, or how can this be comfortable for the introvert and the extrovert? How can we go? How can we make space for someone to like speak their truth and also be quiet if they want to be, not pressured? So I'm aware of it, and so I lean into it, right? I definitely don't shy away from it anymore, and I don't deny it. I'm like, no, no, that's not me. I've heard it enough times, right? So what do you have you heard a lot from people? Embrace it. And so that's also now about listening. I literally can't see myself right now if I unless I turn on the view on Zoom to see myself. I don't see myself as human beings. Like I literally cannot see my own self, right? We see ourselves in relationship to others and through how other people see us. It's how we learn about, oh yeah, when I'm in this situation, I tend to do this thing. That's how you learn about your own patterns and personality.
Hmm.
So what do people say about you? How do they see you? Get some information about that. And then ask yourself, what's showing up that really isn't me? And why are they seeing this? And how can I remove that? Example, when I was a teenager, I was asked a number of times when I said I sing, they're like, oh, do you do classical music? And I was like, what? Well, I was an R&B singer. And I'm like, what? And musical theater at that time. And I'm like, why do people think I do classical music? It's because I was dressed like a good girl. And no offense to classical people, especially today, it would be, I'm sure it's quite different. But it was because I wasn't expressing on the outside my weird, wonderful queerness also, right? And so I was so like closed off and dressing like I'm going to put in a good girl in the way my mom wanted me to dress, that my personality wasn't showing. So where are you hiding? What's not shown? And then what are people saying about you that you're like, oh my God, they see this in me? I'm that. I want to be more of that. That's me on stage. That's the me on stage I want to be. So those are two really concrete things you can start to do to create embody yourself, to live in your art and express yourself that way. And then in terms of songwriting and music is, what's the personal story? What's the message you want to say? Who are you speaking to? Do you want to make them forget their troubles? Do you want to make people not feel alone? What is the message that you want to say, and how do you want to deliver it? Go check out Folk Hero Funk. Check out your favorite artists. What are they doing on their album? Don't make pop music that everyone's making right now. Go listen to Omar Apollo's album and tell me that he was listening to anyone else going, oh, we should do something like that. This lo-fi, gorgeous expression is so uniquely in this moment like nothing else.
Love that.
How do you want to do it? Do you want to have bridges in all your songs? Do you want to have musical interludes? Do you want to play children's, like again, if you're a little bit of a toddler, do you want to incorporate some kids instruments in there and then mess them up in production and have that? Use your imagination and go make the thing that you want to make. Like when you say, I have this imagination for a song, go build what's in your imagination and not what you hear out there.
Yeah, I think that's also hard when people get into a writing room or in with, a bunch of people, or maybe management pulls you in together, or you start collaborating and you have
Yeah.
so many different opinions. And I think that's where artists need to be very definitive on who is in that writing space with them. Are you
Yes.
are you creating something that maybe you can pitch for syndication or something like that, or are you really writing for you?
Yeah.
And that will be determined. That will determine, in my opinion, who is in that room with you, because they will also listen to what sort of self-expression you're trying to do and how to create what's authentic to you, and not just we're
Yeah.
writing because we're writing.
And you need to speak up for yourself.
Yeah.
If it's like, hey, that doesn't feel right to me, and here's why. And this is where having audio samples really helps, where you're like, here's 5 songs that I love, and I want to create something that lives in this world. Or I'm really clear, I like these kind of bass sounds, and this is my favorite kind of guitar sound. I want to create an album that makes people feel like this. That's what my sound chart course is for. I have an online course called Sound Chart, and it helps you actually distill your sound into a recipe that's yours. Like, let's look at everything you love about music, and we're going to extract all the things until we get to the bottom of these are the ingredients for my music. Now take it in the studio and bring it to life. How do these ingredients activate, right?
Yeah.
Dark and moody. Is that the synthesizer? Is that a cello? Is that the vocal, or is that the lyric? Right. So, and some of those ingredients are going to be everywhere, and some are like cinnamon in 2 songs.
Yep.
And everything. I think this is really important. As a human being, you're never not being you. Like, you're being you. Oh, I was being me when I was dressing conservatively. I was being me, feeling the pressure of not showing up, and that's how I was being, right? So it's not about, oh, I'm not authentic, I have to get authentic. We just want to keep realizing ourselves, where am I now and what do I have to say? And then let's do that on the next album. So you're going to constantly evolve. But if you're chocolate, you're not going to be vanilla on the next record. You're going to be another version of chocolate with sprinkles and milk chocolate, dark chocolate, white chocolate with cookie. Like, you're going to get inventive with your chocolate, right? But you have to identify, yeah, I'm chocolate. And then what else am I, so that I can bring these other flavors in? And then after you've had a heartbreak, or you got married, or you had a kid, or you moved cities, then you're like, I want to talk about this now in this album. And I've been listening to Latin music, and I want to incorporate this thing I love. So you're always going to be bringing in things about yourself that allow you to evolve and not recreate just the past. But the core elements of, like, this is who I am, is what I'm about. I'm about authenticity, truth, vulnerability, and empowering people. That's not going to change. It's just, how am I doing it now? Oh, I'm doing it through this dinner party. I'm doing it through this conversation. I'm doing it through this song. How am I doing it?
Yeah. I also think it's important for, I mean, I like what you said on that, because I get the question a lot, like when I'm working with a new artist and we're getting ready to tour, what's the new album? What's this sounding like? And I think all of us can say there's similarities in every album that comes in,
Mm-hmm.
but they are all different. And that is part of life, because what we experience in life, or maybe new connections, or because they're listening to sounds.
Yep.
I can tell you every artist that I have worked with currently in the last 3 years, when they go into the studio to record, every single one of them has told me of other artists or music, or they've sent me links being like, have you heard this? Have you heard this? Have you
Right.
heard this? And they're drawing inspiration from other things, or like downloading new sounds, new trends, new all of that, just to help create a different product, but still
Yeah.
stay in the family of what it is. And so
Totally.
I think some people get in that block where it's like they pigeonhole themselves in a thought process of where it's at, instead of being like, no, you don't have to pigeonhole yourself. Like, you can go and create and do everything around you.
Or they worry, well, this is what my audience wants, likes, and accepts from me. So if I change it, will I lose them?
No, because if you're honest in who you are, I believe the audience will always follow you.
Absolutely. And you know what? Some of them may not. Some will be like, oh, I'm into this other thing now and I'm not resonating with you because other people change. And then other people that didn't know you yesterday will love you for the new thing you just made. And now you got a whole new audience coming.
Yep.
And most importantly, you're the doer, but you're the first audience member too. You are receiving your own art. You've got to be loving it. If you just keep doing this, like we all get bored if we just do the same thing over and over again. Like you'll get bored, and I don't want my artist bored on stage, bored in life, bored on tour, you
Yeah.
know? And the
No,
other thing you said
because
about like,
that can become Groundhog's Day, where it's like the
oh,
same thing every day, different venue. You have no idea what state, city,
yeah.
venue you're even in, and so how do you keep it exciting every
And
time?
you better love the music every day.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm working with an artist right now heading out on tour and they're putting a bunch of new songs in this set. And one of the songs I hadn't heard yet. In fact, I vocal produced one of the songs and I was like, I haven't heard it yet. Can I hear it? And they're like, oh yeah, we just finished. Here you go. But I heard one of the new songs that I hadn't heard yet during the rehearsal. And I literally just like, I melted. I was just like, and I turned to the manager, I was like, this is it. This is them. And they're like, this is everybody's favorite song. I'm like, no, 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 this is them. Like, this is the most them I've ever heard the artist. Now, was everything else they did not them? No. That was them working with the writers they were working with. That was them creating the brand they created. And I told the artist after, I was like, this song. And they're like, I know, everybody says that. And I was like, it's the most free I've ever heard you sing. It's the most you. You're vocally doing things you haven't done in the other songs. And they knew it. They're like, the other songs are all kind of, and they described it with an adjective. And this one isn't. And I'm like, yeah, and they said it's the most personal song I've ever written. I'm like, keep writing more personal. This is the next you. Like this is not just even 2.0. This is 7.2.
Yeah.
And it's so clear. And 100%, I can see that everything that came before was shaped by the team with them, was a concept and idea. And now the artist who's now had a lot more experience in the business, more experience as a writer, more experience touring, then artist is stepping forward going, okay, I can do this now. And I can speak into my truth now. So their own power is growing. And that song is it. Like that and everything coming forward. I was like, so exciting. It's so exciting. Again, I'm getting goosebumps. Truth resonates.
Yeah.
Authenticity is, it's all we want is real connection. Like human beings want real connection.
I had a similar experience with an artist who's currently touring right now, and the album released, and I went into rehearsals and I was like, "Where's this song?" And they're like, "It didn't make the show."
Oh,
I'm like, "No," because it
no.
was the same thing. It was raw. It was one take. They put it on the album. It was a one take record. You hear the voice break because
Love
of
it.
the emotion behind it. And I remember when I heard the album, because I heard it for the first time and I was on a flight, downloaded it and heard it. I wept
Yes.
in the plane. And to get me to cry is a very hard feat, like very hard. But the honesty that was in there, and I'm like, and it didn't make the show, unfortunately. And so I just make them do it as part of our tour warm up so I can at least hear it. And I'm like, fine,
I
if the
love
world
it.
can't hear you do it, I get to hear it in my own little private concert.
But you
So
know what
they
else is
end up seeing
amazing?
me a few times, but yes.
You know what's also amazing though? You are like you're getting this beautiful selfish moment for yourself, but you're also letting them tap into that raw vulnerability before they go do the rest of the show and go walk into the show with that.
Yeah, it is I love it. I love it so much.
Let's say something to this because this was something I did as an artist and no one told me to do it. And I want to ask, as you're saying, the tour warm up before the show,
Mhm.
vocal warm up. How many songs are you having them sing songs before the set? How many songs are you doing? Parts of songs? Because I used to, when I was performing 5 nights a week, I would sing 3 songs before I got on stage. So my first song on stage, I was like already in my show. Instead of like, oh, that how that first song you can feel really cold. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, this is song 4 for me. by the time I get out there. Um, what do you do before a show? Let's tell people, because I think this is so important. People are like, what do I do before the show?
So for me, it depends on the artist that I'm with and what that day to day looks like and what we're dealing with. So
Yeah.
typically, when we get to the venue or the arena, sound check, whatever, I have a pre show warm up that we do. It's not super intense because most of the time it's like we've already done something physical, they're up, their bodies are getting warm. If your body's not warm, your voice will not be warm. So you've got to get the body and like that grounded first. And so we do, there's a physical thing, and then I do a very kind of basic, good stretch, kind of relax, depending on what our sound check is. If the night before or if the show before has an issue in it, I address it in the
Yeah.
pre sound check warm up because I don't
Yeah.
want them to get in their head for the show.
Yeah.
So I address it in the sound check warm up, and then we change up the songs that we have in sound check to see if we can counter whatever happened in the show prior.
Cool.
And most of the tours that I work on, even if I'm not there in person, I have a Dropbox that I work with the front of house or whoever, and they upload every show for me. So if I'm like starting to see a pattern, then I can actually go in and listen to the actual show without
Nice.
the artist even knowing about it. And then I just fix it without bringing attention to it. Because
Nice.
depending on the artist, if they're heady, like in their heads about it, I don't want to. So it's very customizable. Anyway, so then we do sound check. Obviously, part of that sound check is the straw. For me, the straw automatically throws us into the right placement so that we can have everything working the way it needs to go, and it's
Yep.
fast. And that, I want to hear your stuff too. And then after that, it's a break time. And then depending on, again, what our schedule looks like, there's another kind of physical body warm up that I do with them to start getting all of that out. And then vocally, I go through, I've usually by that point mapped out problem areas of every song. So a warm up is targeting that specific song. So the pattern
Amazing.
there, yeah, the pattern would be like, say the song's Mary Had a Little Lamb. I don't know, but say we're doing Mary Had a Little Lamb. I will pattern a workout to match that melody with the vowels without. So then I'm like,
Amazing.
I'm also giving them a verbal cue like, this is Mary. This is whatever. This
Right.
is,
Right.
the cloud song, whatever. Like so we have a visual reference of how to reference that. So
That's awesome.
unless they want to go over a song, I don't have them sing a song before going out, unless again I'm being selfish and I'm like, just sing it for me so I can hear it.
That's
Then,
awesome.
then I'll have them do it and we kind of make it fun and go into it so it's connected. And then I always just ask, like, is there anything you feel uncomfortable with
Yeah.
before you take stage? And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And again, every artist is independent. Some like to make sure that like their hardest song, they sing through that chorus or bridge a few times,
Right.
block it, and then we let them out. And
Yeah.
then for me, the most important is the cool down. So a lot of artists don't cool down, and that's a foreign concept, and it doesn't need to be very long. But the cool down for me is, the beautiful thing about artistry is we go out and we have these amazing vocal acrobatics, so from the stylings, from falsettos to growling to even how you talk to your audience, you're not staying in a perfect technical state because you're doing
Right.
these cool acrobatics.
Yeah.
Your technique should allow you to have those acrobatics. And that's why having a good solid technical foundation, it allows you to have more expression and freedom. So when you go out and have that expression, then coming back into a cool down to recalibrate and get back to neutral so that you can go on the next night is where I
Yeah.
find one of the biggest benefits out there. Because when you're on
Agreed.
stage, yeah, when you're on stage, I don't want to have worry about technique. I do have strategies on there for resetting the voice while you're on stage if you feel a little wonky. But other than that, that's kind of how we work. What about you?
Awesome. Well, you mentioned about the straw. One of my favorite ways to use the straw is number one, like walk around with it, like having them have it all the time, which encourages them to stop talking and use the straw throughout the day. So
Mhm.
especially if they're doing press or they're doing meet and greets, I was just like, just in between all the time, grab that straw and do some glides, do some melodies. A, protecting the voice. B, those moments they're not talking either. So it helps to like, oh wait, I can't talk right now. And it helps them have quiet time that otherwise they're really not getting it all,
Yep.
right? Um, and one of my favorite ways to use the straw is to use it as a tool from technique to song. So strawing the song, then strawing the song while doing cardio carefully. But getting the artist just to sing the song through the straw is such a foundation of, oh, this is how easy this song can feel.
Yep.
So when we go from that to full song, we want to maintain that. So strawing through songs really key. Then the song, then the song in the cup on whatever our home base thing, maybe if no 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 or na 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 or nay nay nay, like whatever kind of their home base vowel would be, I'd
Yep.
have to do it in the cup, and then we do lyrics in the cup, and then we sing the song with no cup, just and then we start, and then it's emotion, connecting, storytelling. But that is a really quick, like expedited process of from technique to song using those steps.
Yep.
And just getting the body to go, this is what it feels like. This is what it should feel like. This is it. So when we open our mouth, if it's not, you go, oh, wait, now I can really tell that this doesn't feel like that. So now we can look at where the hiccups are or what tool we need to use to make it feel more the same when we're in.
Yeah, and I find too with like because I'm in that same process too, where it's like straw, water, cup, no cup, executing certain things. I have found that we can actually get into the meat and potatoes of the song faster
Yes.
by getting that already knocked out because your body's getting an awareness of where it needs to go. Because
Yeah.
when you start adding in other components like the cardio or costuming or your choreography or props,
Yep.
you need to be able to make sure that the function of the voice is allowing it
Yeah.
to happen. And for me, it's so much quicker. Like just
So much quicker.
get it. Yeah. And I
I
even have
also think
artists
the
that,
physical awareness for the artist is quicker too. Where like if we're singing, they might be like, "Oh, I can't really tell when I'm in or out." We do the straw and go, "Oh yeah, I can tell
yeah.
now."
I even
I
have
can,
artists that take the straw on stage with them and reset
yeah,
it while they're on stage.
yeah.
And so I've gone through with them and we've custom created water bottles that match their aesthetic.
Oh, cool.
And
Oh
then
yes, that's right. The
they take
sparkly
the
ones.
yeah, they take it on stage and it looks like they're drinking water, but they're
Yeah,
recalibrating on stage so that they can maintain that 2 hour
yeah,
set or whatever it is that's in
yeah.
there.
That's
30
right.
minutes, because whether you have a 30-minute set or a 3 hour set, like there is an endurance that has to happen for you to train into that.
Totally, totally.
Well, that's good.
I,
Well,
I think I think there's also like just there's such a difference in the business now and in life now. I mean, we didn't grow up with a phone in our hands, right? And whereas everyone now, it's you've we have so much input. I mean, even us, we're having a conversation and someone's listening to it and they're like, okay, are they trustworthy? Like, should I take their advice or what about the other 100 people that have their own channels, right? Um, and it used to be that, an artist or a band would go away for 6 months and, Sinead O'Connor went to a castle and made an album and the Bee Gees went to Miami for 6 months and made an album. Like you would hibernate to create. And now it's, artists are in the studio with a different songwriter every day of the month for 6 months, just making song, right? And then you're watching everybody else online and what they're doing. And then there's trends online and you think, oh, I got to jump on this trend. And I think we have to go back to the fundamentals of who am I? What do I want to say? And how do I want to say it? And let yourself have some time to hibernate. Let yourself have some time to not just make constant content, but what do I want to make content about? What do I want to say? And what's the fun way that I imagine saying it? And now can I collaborate with some people who I like? I love that person's music video. I followed a music director and a few artists that I know. I'm like, I think this director would be amazing for you. I don't know him. I just saw the art he made and went, this is so cool and so doable on a budget. Like that, it was like this lo-fi. He showed how he did it. I'm like, that's lo-fi and it's amazing.
yeah.
So I've sent his info to a few people just going, I think that he vibes with like your kind of style. Check him out. And I think that like that sense of like going inside, hibernating, finding collaborators to work with that match your vibe, and that's very important. I remember, I just remember how every artist like would cling to a producer because they found one. And I'm like, yeah, but they're not at all in your, like, how do you know how to pick a producer? Well, do they make songs that you'd want to be singing? Or do you hear things they're doing that if you took a little from that production and that production and that production, you could weave the thing that's yours, right?
Hmm.
It's not just like, oh, they can do it. They're willing to work with me. It's do you vibe with them? Do you love? So I think that's just so important in a world that's asking you to make constant content, that you look at what you really want to say first and how
Yeah,
you want
I mean, this could be a whole other interview, but I personally feel like social media has killed creativity.
social media has killed the absolutely. It's made mediocrity the norm.
Yeah.
It's killing creativity. It's killed the music business. Even though you think, people can find me, and that's true. That there's no question about that. But songs are not 15 seconds long, and audiences need more than a 15-second uh, attention span. Like those are not your super fans scrolling by.
Well, and I also think that that 15-second clip doesn't truly show, obviously, the full range of what somebody can really do.
Of course not.
There's like a, I don't know. I mean, again, that's a no, whole other thing. So that's where it's like, again, I
It's
think when
it's
you,
kind of like, you know how shock value, like things are done for shock value.
yeah,
Well, social media asks for constant shock value.
yep,
And and we all know this. We all know this in the business. Big numbers and followers do not translate to people buying tickets to your show. Whereas someone with a small following is selling out tours. So I think that you've got to look at your whole career as being bigger than social media. And social media is just a way to share what you're doing and build your whole career, build your fan base, build a world they want to come to.
yeah. Okay, so we have a few minutes left, but I want to ask you, so obviously we're doing a joint collaboration scholarship. So tell me a little bit about Compass and the scholarship and how Voice Draw
Yeah.
is a part of it and how people can find out more about it.
Awesome. Well, it's exciting because Compass is my artist development program. I lead it. I take you through so many, all my magical shit, basically, all these processes to help you realize yourself, right? From sound to purpose to archetype to we're going to dive into your life. You're going to dive into your life to really see yourself, uncover yourself. The breakthroughs that artists are having are just remarkable.
Yeah.
And I think that Queen Herbie said it really well. She just said it helped me trust my choices. It helped me like lean into the me that I am. And that's everything, that clarity and confidence to stand behind what you're doing.
Yep.
So it's a wonderful 6-month program. We have mentors from the industry, from A&R, publishing, management. They mentor throughout the program as well. And it's a deep dive, 6 months to realize yourself, to break through resistances and what you've been hiding so that you can build a world that's you, and your next project and your next project and your next project get to be elevated versions, much more clear, magnetic brand. And we are offering a scholarship. So it's a $3,500 program. When you apply for Compass through the contest, we are going to be looking at everybody who applies, and we're going to be whittling it to a top 10. And then we have 2 winners. The first is receiving the Compass scholarship, and the second winner is getting the Voice Straw package, as well as a consult with Mindy and a consult with me.
Yep.
And it's really for emerging and pro artists. This is for artists that are full-time artists that are dedicated. This is your world, your passion, and we want to just help elevate and lift you up. And I'm excited to offer a scholarship because the barrier for everything should not be financial.
Yeah, agreed. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm excited to help, help with that because I do
Yeah.
believe in your program. I've seen it work many, many times and I've seen you cultivate it for the last 15 years to make it what it is. Like this has
Yeah.
been a baby of yours in development for, I mean, honestly, for probably 15 years to get it to where it's at. And it's unbelievable. So I
Yeah. I mean, the
recommend.
program is like, it's all the teaching that I've been doing all these years turned into a system, right? Into like, this is a 6-month deep dive system. And yeah, we launched officially last October, and we're going to have anywhere from 30 to 30 to 60 artists going through it this year. And our goal for next year is 90 artists. and all of those artists are connecting with each other on our platform, are having friendships growing out of it, collaborations going out of it. This is a support system. The artists and the people in this program become your friends, your teammates, your think tank, where they are helping you see yourself. It's
Yeah.
not being an artist is a lot of solitude. This is community within that experience. You're not going through the process alone. You're doing it with the group. You have check-ins with me every week. We're we're here to support you in the process.
Yeah, and I think one thing that is different that, because, when we're artists, you have to figure out where do I allocate the funds? You're like,
Yeah.
where's things going? And one thing that I've seen and experienced with artists who have done the program is it saves you money in the end
Oh
because you
yeah.
are so clear on what you're about to create and where you go instead of spending money out to this producer, this. It really funnels everything in so you're very accurate in what that is. And ultimately, it will save you time, it saves you money, and it saves you just a ton of stress trying to like,
Frustration. Yeah.
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 So,
This
yeah.
this
And
program should shave years of trial and error
yeah.
and money spent on a video that you then don't want to put out,
Hmm.
working with the producer, creating a song, not wanting to put it on the album, right? So absolute years of trial and error, time, money, time wasted, time spent,
Yeah.
money spent. And ultimately, this small investment is a lifetime of reward and back, what payback,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
success.
other thing too, and you and I are very clear on this when we do classes and workshops, is tangible tools that they can use.
Oh
So
yeah.
when people do this program, you literally are getting tangible tools. It's not just a fluff and puff
Oh
like
gosh,
you
no.
do it.
It's a big
It
fat
is hard.
workbook.
Yeah, it's hard work, and it's like I call it like music therapy for artistic development because you get deep inside
Yeah.
who you are, and it's awesome. I love it. I can't
Thank you.
it's something
Yes,
we
we
would
have
do.
a big fat workbook that we go through together, and then you go home and do more. There's every week, there's do this week, do this week. And there are all ways to help you like go inside to discover things and then outward to execute and explore and play with them.
Great.
Yeah, and it's true what you said. The first week, everyone comes back after the first session going, oh my God, this is amazing. I didn't even know this about myself. I'm so excited. And then after the second session and the second month, people are like, wow, this is challenging. This is a little hard because it's not light and fluffy. We're getting real, right? And then when there's resistance, like I can tell you, like 25% of the artists just kind of go, I'm resisting. But then when you dig in and they start doing the work by the third, the fourth session, they're like, breakthrough. I see it. I see me. I see what I want to do now. Oh my gosh, the ideas are popping. And that's what it's about. You just like life, if you do the work and you have some good guidance, you're going to get through that tunnel, and the other side is just a whole nother ballgame.
I love that so much. So how do people find more information about Compass?
wendyparr.com/compass is where the information on Compass is, the application, apply. There's no harm in applying. Like, even if you feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready, apply. If you find out you're not, you'll find out what you need next to go further. And if you find out you are, wow, lucky you, you're in, right? So yes, Compass, it's on my website. There's the application, there's information about the program there. And I'm looking forward to listening to all the music that people submit.
I love it. I want to hear those too. That's awesome. So Parr is with two R's, just so you guys
Yes.
know. It's not just one R. So wendyparr.com/compass. And
Yep.
as Wendy and I say, it's Wendy and Mindy. Wendy Parr, Mindy Pack, the WPMP.
Yes. Meant to be friends.
Without a doubt, lifelong sisters, friends, deeper than friends, in my
So true. Oh yeah, you're family. You are family.
yeah, right back at you. All right, Miss Wendy, I can't wait to share this with everybody and go through it. And then if anybody has questions, you can either DM Wendy, you can DM
Yep,
me, and we can
definitely.
happily share those resources because ultimately, both of us have the same goal is that we want you to be authentic, live your vocal life with freedom, and really just be who you are so that we can have this beautiful space of music because that's how it connects all of us. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, we have it. All right. Well,
Awesome.
love your guts.